Who's on with us right now? We've got Cameron Gillis, Mike Wiesner, and Pekka. It's awesome. So we have Cameron Gillis with us, Mike, Pekka, Aaron Thompson, Jeff Wise says hello. Cam, great presentation last night. I need you to do it again a little slower. Harold Locke says hello, everybody. Pekka says, oh, you guys have a young afternoon over there in the big world. It's snowing out here in the big world, wherever that is. Was, anyways. We got the Lyrid meteor shower tonight. Aaron Thompson's reminding us that's right. Lots of sunspots to see today, Jeff is mentioning. And the second wave of winter coming over to Stockholm tomorrow from Becca. Oh boy. Well, we're all here waiting for Kent Marts to illuminate us.
To every astronaut or spacecraft, the sun is a damaging source of radiation. All objects traveling through space must contend with this hazard, including planets. Even the moon has the scars to prove it. New NASA research suggests that some of the coloration we see on the moon could actually be a form of sunburn.
The leading hypothesis is that the magnetic fields are blocking some portion of the solar wind from reaching the surface.
The solar wind is the sun's continuous outflow of particles and radiation that fills the inner solar system. Earth's magnetic field provides a strong global shield against it. However, the magnetic field on the moon is much weaker, and it forms only small, localized bubbles of protection. In these spots, the sun's particles can be reflected back into the solar wind or fall into nearby regions. The shielded areas under the magnetic field form pale swirls. Those bordering parts become darker. The contrast is so prominent, we can actually see it from Earth.
The magnetic fields in some region are locally acting as this magnetic sunscreen. Sometimes you put on sunscreen and you miss like a tiny little bit, and then you have a really bright red spot on your skin where you miss it. That's in some ways the analogy of this sort of region of the moon that is extra exposed.
Unfortunately, the moon's patches of magnetic field are not robust enough to completely protect human explorers from the sun's radiation. But further study of lunar magnetic fields could lay the groundwork for future innovations.
But well, what if we got a strong enough magnetic field that perhaps we could produce artificially? That's a question that I think remains to be answered, but the crustal magnetic fields of the moon and lunar swirls kind of provide a hint in that direction that we might be able to learn something about them.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific, and today I've got Kent Marts on with us. We had a great star party, the 42nd Global Star Party yesterday, which was awesome. We went pretty late. It seemed like we were running a little bit after midnight last night, but that was all great and fun. Lots of great images from our astrophotographers, and it was good to have our speakers on with Living in the Stars and David Eicher, David Levy, Pekka was on as well. Deepti Gautam was with us. Molly Wakeling was there, so it was all good, and we had a couple of others as well. Caesar was with us. So anyhow, Kent, are we even halfway through the universe sampler? How far through it are?
We're done after today.
We're done.
Yep, we're done. So
Really?
it's 12 chapters. I did chapter 12 last week, which means we should be done this week, except I skipped chapter 11. So we're going
Almost
backwards.
done.
We're going backwards in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do one more universe sampler, then we're finished, and then everybody that listened to this program should have the program done and be getting their universe sampler certificate, right?
They should have gotten the universe sampler club that tells them what they have to do. They should be doing it. Yes. And I'm also going to start looking at some of the easier beginner level observing clubs out there. The Binocular Messiers, the Constellation Club, the Lunar Observers Club. Some, it takes time to do them, but they're very straightforward. Nothing particularly fancy about them. You don't have to be to do the Herschels, you have to be a pretty good observer and have some dark skies and some skills. But to do the Binocular Messiers is pretty straightforward. Do the Constellation, very straightforward. So there's some things out there people can do without a whole big, robust, huge telescope, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Great. So I guess we'll turn this over to you, and we're going to talk about variable stars now, right?
We're going to talk about variable stars now. Hang on, let me get set up here. Takes a second to get everything squared away and on the screen so I can do it right.
Oh, I did want to remind everybody that this Friday is Astronomical League Live number 5. And the board of the Astronomical League will be making special presentations, special talks. And that starts at 6 p.m. Central on this Friday night. And so you'll want to watch that for sure.
So 6 p.m. Central is going to be what? 11 p.m. 11 p.m. UT.
Oh, what universal time is that?
Would be 11, I think, right?
Well, I'll tell you here. It is 2300, which is 11.
Yeah,
Yep.
2300 UT. Okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So, because because we're in daylight savings time here. So, all right, astronomical leagues, lesson 11, variable stars. Let's get into it. If I can make it move. There we go. Universe Sampler, is a production of the Astronomical League. Amelia Goldberg did a great job with it. That's the cover of it. Here's the links on where you can order it. And I know through these bit.ly links that I created, people are clicking on them and looking at them. So that's a good thing. So, Scott, are you going to post those or?
Yeah, I
Okay,
will.
I'll leave that up there. So the whole point, I mean, $13 is the book is $10 and they charge $3 in shipping. That's a heck of a deal, And again, I've learned. Okay, I haven't learned anything new, but I have certainly refreshed my memory by going through this class. And looking at this thing once every 6 months is probably just a great primer to remember how to talk to at star parties to new people. So it looks like Scott's done. So I'm going to go on. All right. Reviewing real quick. Previously was lesson 10. This should be lesson 12. I wasn't going to change it. So because the sun was, last week, but previous lesson, this was the moon. Biggest, brightest, easiest to find object in the sky. Changes every 29 days. It changes all the time over a 29-day cycle. You can actually watch the Terminator line move over a period of a few minutes and can see it eliminating valleys and mountaintops and things. It's very cool to watch. Those shadows, after you've watched them for a little bit, give you the ability to see the moon in 3 dimensions, not just as a flat surface. And there are hundreds and hundreds of things to observe on the moon. So moving along, lesson 11, variable stars. Just, the word variable means change, and stars, there are some stars that change in brightness very regularly. Some are very irregular, but that variability provides a whole host of information. You can learn the mass, radius, temperature, luminosity, internal and external structure, composition, and evolution of stars just by watching variable stars go through their cycle. Observing variable stars requires a systemic observation program because you have to monitor them over time, and it requires a very organized systemic approach to observing. It does allow you, there are various organizations, the AAVSO is probably the largest one. That's the American American Association of Variable Star Observers, Scott?
Yes.
Yes. So, a big organization that allows you to contribute to science. And there's, you're able to do brightness estimates visually by using comparison stars or companion stars that don't have any variability to them. And so you can have a nearby star, you know what it is, and over time you learn to see the change in the brightness. And by doing this over time, you can create a graph that shows the light curve of the star. There are 4 main types: pulsating variables and erupting variables, where variability is intrinsic due to physical changes in the stars. So those 2 types of variables, pulsating and eruptive, are related in how they do it. And then there are eclipsing binaries and rotating variables, which vary because of the brightness changing due to eclipse, either by another star or by another effect of stellar rotation. There can be eclipsing binaries caused by big planets going in front of them as well. So all those are those 2 are related to each other. So in the variable star program, they look at pulsating variables, which are Cepheid variables and the semi-regular variables. Cephids are called standard candles because they're so regular in what they do. Delta Cephi is one, I believe it is the first Cephid variable. That's why they're called Cephid variables, because it was the first variable star and it was in the constellation Cephus. Then semi-regular variables are giant and supergiant, showing a periodic accompanied by intervals of irregular light variation. Lots of different time ranges for these. Rho Persei is one, and we're going to look at in a minute where those are. And then eclipsing binaries happens when a star within the orbital plane line is in our line of sight, and it dims the other star. And so they are very regular, that can be predicted based on, their rotational period. Finder charts for 4 bright variables are in the Universe Sampler program. And those are shown here. And it looks like my red dots didn't get moved over to some of them. I didn't finish the slide, obviously. So I have Beta Lyra down at the bottom and Beta Persei up on the top. You have another star. I'm gonna have to do some work on which one that is on Rho Persei. I don't see it off the top of my head, but I need to get that fixed. And then the Cephid variable is down there in the bottom right-hand corner of the central field where Cephus is. It's got a 5, looks like it has a 536 on it. Where's the other one at on the one on top from Perseus? It's not jumping out at me. I don't see it. It might be right there. So anyway, I need to get those circles on there. But that shows locations of where they are. And there's all sorts of finder charts out there. Nobody would be using this to find their variables if they're actually going to do the program. There's much better pieces out there. And then a variable star that was in the news a lot and had people really excited was Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse. There's I speak Arkansas, I call it Betelgeuse. I don't know what the official pronunciation is, but we're going with Betelgeuse for this. So here's an image from the European Space Observatory that shows comparison of Betelgeuse before and after its dimming in January 2019 and December of 2019 over the course of a year. And Scott and I were talking about this yesterday on the other broadcast. Half of me wanted it to go supernova because it would be really cool to see it, and the remnant would just be impressive, potentially. But part of me doesn't want it to go supernova because then it changes, the Orion constellation into something different than we know it. So half of me wants it to, and the other half of me wants it to just stay the same and stable and friendly. And it doesn't look so different until I do sort of the squint test. And when I squint at these two images, it's pretty impressive how much dimmer they are. So Betelgeuse is a very regular, or had been a very regular predictive one, and this one dimmed more than recorded, and making people think it was going to go kablooey, and it didn't. So, quick review. Some stars change in brightness, others don't. The period ranges from a few days to thousands of days. There's 4 types of variable stars, and there are hundreds out there to observe. And looking forward to lesson 12, which is really back. Never ever look at the sun. Learn the proper way to safely observe the sun before attempting it. Sun-safe solar film or mirror glass filters, number 4 water glass, projection of an image are all safe ways of doing it. Inspect your sun-safe filter or film before every use. A tiny hole can permanently damage your eyes. There's lots of things to see out there, and with specialized filters, you can see other awesome things. And that concludes the Universe Sampler class. So
Okay, well, that's very cool. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. Here, I will stop here sharing, and I'm going to show you some globular star clusters with CFID variables. These are animated images, but it's the real deal. And so we're just going to scroll through a few of them to see how many you can see on the screen. But here we go. This is M15. And if you watch it for a while, every star that you see blinking on and off is a variable star, CFID variable. And these things are, they are the regularity of how often they go bright and dip is remarkable, and it led to the ability to see, once they found CFID variables in the Andromeda Nebula, as it was called, they realized they were looking at another galaxy. So this is very interesting, very important part of astronomy and towards understanding, how people, how we figured out the distance scale of the universe. But that's M15. This is another shot of M15 down here, but let's look at M13. You see any variables there? I see one right here. There's one right here. There is one
there's
up
one
here.
right there. Yep, that's one I just spotted.
Yeah. Is there any others? Don't see any others right now. Okay.
No.
Right? Okay. Here we are at M5. M5, there's one right here.
There's a whole bunch around the perimeter.
Yeah, look at that. It's beautiful. Here's one. Here's one. There's one.
Real
Here,
bright one right there.
There's a little one over here. Another one over here. Another one over here. There's a bunch of them in M5. And M2 down here at the bottom.
And Scott, these are all CFID variables, right? CFID variables.
Yeah, I believe they're all CFID
Right.
variables. Uh-huh. Or some of them are
yeah.
ELIZA type variable stars too.
Right. Which means they're probably going to be a different color.
But it's cool. And once you start learning about these, and you make a bunch of measurements, you can graph out a light curve. And once you're making light curves and recording your observations, you're starting to do science, and it's not that hard.
So Scott, click here. It says click here for details, including the HR diagram. Let's look at that real quick.
All right, let's look at that one. All right. So there's the HR diagram for M15, okay? And it says variable stars are shown as pairs of points connected by a line segment. So there we go. There's your line segment. And you can get these images in FITS format too. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that one is just alive. M13 is just
Yeah,
alive.
they are. They are alive. It's very interesting. So there you are.
Pretty cool.
Almost makes you want to get a astrocam and go out and image some globular star clusters over several weeks or several nights,
And create your own blink comparator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never done any variable star observing. That's just not been, it's not my cup of tea. But
Not yet.
yeah, not yet. Everything's going to be my cup of tea after I get my observatory built in my new house.
That's right.
But it's I like the things that change quicker, and it's not, I like, the moons of almost said the moons of Pluto, the moons of Jupiter, watching them move, especially close to the planet where you can sense them, shadows on the moon, things like that, meteor showers, Those things have always more deeply interested me. Although it is pretty cool to see, all those blinking things that you don't realize are blinking until you look at them over a period of time, like you're allowed to do in those photos.
So they say that Cepheid variables are very luminous stars, 500 to 300,000 times greater than the sun, with short periods ranging from 1 to 100 days. And they are pulsating variables that expand and shrink dramatically within a short period of time, following a specific pattern. Very, very, very interesting.
And sitting here, I remember, reading about how Hubble, the based on the brightness and the frequency, he knew it was a Cepheid variable, but the brightness was so down that when he did the math, it was astounded by the distance. And it was like, well, that can't be.
That can't be.
Something's wrong. He went back and looked at his math and, well, no, something's wrong. And finally figured out that that thing was outside of the universe. And, it was what, 1920 or something like that. It's not been that long. Let me see if it says it here.
Hey, Pekka, you're listening right now. I know you are. Why don't you go ahead and log in and tell us about your progress with your fight against light pollution. We'll wait for you.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ken, what's new on the horizon right now for light pollution here in Arkansas?
Real quick, we'll talk about this. We need to have a special star party on December 30th, 2024, because December 30th, 2024 was when Edwin Hubble revealed that we are not alone, that there is another galaxy outside of the universe, effectively. So that might be a cool special show to focus on Edwin Hubble. So to put that in perspective, it's been less than 100 years. It's been, 97 years, 96 years since we discovered that the Milky Way is not the universe. Mm-hmm. And that's less time than people have been flying. And yet, the universe hasn't, quote, existed in our knowledge base for less than 100 years. So what's going on in light pollution, Arkansas? So there's an international dark sky park, the Buffalo National River. It's 150 miles long, and the average width is like 1.5 miles wide. So it's the longest international dark sky park on Earth and the narrowest one, effectively, as well, when you compare the length to width ratio. And the Park Service is well aware that they can't control the skies. In these big, massive national parks, they can have a huge impact by dealing with light pollution within their control. Along the Buffalo River, to maintain the dark skies and try and get the skies darker, takes a host of other players to be involved. And so the Arkansas Natural Sky Association, in conjunction with the Searcy County Chamber of Commerce, the town of Gilbert, the Buffalo National River, and the National Park Service, Central Arkansas Astronomical Society, North Arkansas Astronomical Society, and Sugar Creek Astronomical Society, which is where we are here. Hey, Pekka.
Hello.
And Explore Scientific. Yep, go ahead. And so a couple of other entities are all putting on a dark sky festival the first weekend of October in the town of Gilbert, which I've talked about before. The town of Gilbert has 28 people and it has 16 or 18 stoplights. And Gilbert is trying to get the energy provider to
28 people and 16 or 18 stoplights. Is that true?
Not stoplights, but street lights. I'm sorry, street lights.
Okay.
Yeah. There's nearly a street light per person in this little bitty town.
Well, you
And
got to
they-
stay safe, right? With more streetlights and protection.
Yeah, there's huge crime problem in Gilbert. Huge crime problem in Gilbert. You know, the squirrels run rampant. The
Right.
flying squirrels at night cause thumping on walls. So the fairy diddles, if you will.
Fairy
Uh,
devils. Yes.
So which are flying squirrels. So they're trying to get the electric provider to change the lights or turn off the lights, and it's a challenge. And so we're raising awareness of the International Dark Sky Park and the need to protect the night sky to foster tourism. And there was a lighting engineer who in California or Colorado who has volunteered his professional services for, and his price, I was shocked at what he offered. It was $1 a year to provide consulting services along the river. So he's getting paid $1 a year to provide which normally he would charge a lot more for. So that is much appreciated.
Token. Yeah.
So if you're in the central United States, or Pekka wants to come on vacation here, October 2, 3, and 4.
Anytime.
Yeah. So October 2, 3, and 4. Let me look at that date and make sure it's right. Yes, October 1, 2, and 3. I'm sorry, October 1, 2, and 3 is the festival at Gilbert, Arkansas, which is the smallest incorporated town in the state and one of the smallest in the country. And it pretends to be a pretty good sized event. It's causing some buzz already, in some circles on Facebook. So it may be a pretty good event. It's going to have music and artwork and an astrophotography contest and stuff for kids. And
is there a website for that?
I don't think there's a website up yet. It will be. I know there's a draft one out there that I have access to, but I don't think it's public yet.
Okay. We can talk about that a little bit closer.
Yeah,
it's because I need to come from Sweden. You are like insulated.
Yeah, so and we would love to host you, and there's some cabins that I'm sure they still have cabins. I'm gonna pull my RV over, but it's gonna be full of gear probably.
Just to be in States, it will be and see the big world.
Yeah, it's the weekend before the Okie-Tex Star Party out in Western Oklahoma, which is not that far away. What is it? A 10-hour drive to?
Okay, I can stay 2 weeks, 3 weeks if needed.
Yes.
Because I have got my 2 vaccines, so I will probably. I will have some protection too.
It's out there by Boise City. It's a 8-hour drive from here to the Okie-Tex Star Party, and so to the Buffalo River Star Party is going to be another 2 hours. So it's 10 hours away from.
Yeah,
I
drive
River.
10 hours anytime.
Sure.
V8 under a hood. No problem.
Yeah. No problem. Just keep going, right?
Yeah. Straight
no stopping.
Straight across the United States.
Gotta make a pit stop. You should think about that before you leave, right?
Yeah.
Going.
It will be a dream.
Yeah.
Come true.
So you could. Literally, that would be a good time to come for somebody who is wanting to, come to the Central U.S. because you get the Buffalo River Star Party. That's a first-time event, and the Buffalo River Dark Sky Star Party, and then go out to Okie-Tex way out in Western Oklahoma, which is one of the darkest places in the United States.
In the United States, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. And
Milky Way casting shadows. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, more details to come, and when the website gets up, we'll talk about it here.
Harold tells Pekka, he says, you're going to have to marry an American woman when you get here.
All right.
I think Pekka's already taken, so yeah.
I got a mail from one place. They have this lottery for US green cards, and it's for year 2023.
Ah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I have to get on the lottery, and maybe I get the 1 year's green card for 2023. But I don't know if I will use that because I don't have any reason to get that right now, because I need a studying place, working place, or something for that amount of time I will be on the United States. Maybe 3 months, 2 months, half an year. So I need something reason to come.
You got
To
two
get the
eclipses.
green card.
You have two eclipses. Those are two reasons. You have a annular eclipse in Texas. Texas would be a great place to go, and then you have a total eclipse in Texas the next year.
So Pekka, to get your green card, do you have to have a job lined up, or can you
No.
just come? You can just come visit for a year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
okay.
so. I think so, because if you need, if you want the green card, you have to have employment, or somebody guarantees your living.
Yeah.
Like a employee or something, or you married an American woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So pronounce your last name for me.
Hautala.
Pronounce it.
Pronounce Hautala.
Hautala.
Yeah.
Hautala.
Yeah, exactly.
Hautala.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Hautala.
Gotta get that little lilt.
Go to Stockholm now and speak like a native.
Hautala.
Hautala.
Very good. I've been wondering how. I've been playing with it. That was close to what I'd come.
Yeah.
I was going with Hautala. You know, not the Hautala.
Hautala. It's one just.
Yeah.
Shoot it.
It's lyrical almost. Hautala.
Yeah,
it's almost
exactly.
lyrical. Very good.
Yeah. So Finnish is you read it as you speak it. Exactly.
Yeah.
By the word. By the letter. Okay, guys. Should I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
What happened in
What happened?
with
This is
Dark
for sale.
Sky? Okay.
This is for sale.
It's for sale now. Okay.
Yeah. I don't
All right.
need it anymore.
Oh, you don't need it.
No. I called my landlord today. After 3 mails, I get sick.
Yeah.
And I called him and spoke with him 40-50 minutes and told everything about LED lights and environment destroying and wild animals and people's health and everything. And I told him why I need that they cover those 4 lights.
Yes.
And what do you think he's told me?
Jump off a log, or yes, one or the other.
Yes, he told me yes, they will do it.
After 50 minutes, yes.
Yes, they will
Oh,
cover.
yeah, I need to get this guy off the telephone.
They will cover them, and they will come. Some guys, they will call me first, and I will point the lights.
That's awesome.
And the direction, what kind of direction I want them to cover, and so on.
Wonderful.
Yes, that's
wonderful. Okay.
So you can achieve more than you think, even on the big picture.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You must have this. I want.
Yes.
And after that,
anything's possible.
Everything is possible, because you just decide that this must be happen.
Good. Wonderful.
Yeah. So the bid starts today from $1.
I will tell you, I agree with you. I think sometimes one phone call or even one email sometimes can do the job. A lot of people think they can do nothing.
Yeah. Because they are street lights.
I have a small victory that goes all the way back to maybe the early 90s. The Discovery Channel network, the network, the big Discovery Channel. They were building a new building. And I saw in the news that their architect was going to install a light that could reach into space, could be seen from space, like some of the features in Las Vegas. And I knew that the founder of Discovery Channel, Mr. John Hendricks, was and is a very avid astronomer.
Yeah.
And I said, how can the Discovery Channel, with its support of nature and science and space and everything, put a light into space?
Massive,
right?
Yeah.
And they changed the whole they changed the building. I don't know what that cost to do, but they did. And so it is possible. People just have to speak up, and there's so many reasons.
Absolutely.
It's not just the astronomy reason, okay? It's the health reason,
because
which is a much bigger reason.
I was planning. I wrote down every point about every research that has been made in USA about the health and the crime and everything. And I just read from the letter to him, and he said, "Oh,
that's
because
great."
I cannot come just to say I want you to cover those." And he say, "Move."
A logical, well thought out, written down talking points is a strength. And honestly, saying you're doing it because you love astronomy, but there's all these other things that have huge impacts on everyone, is a strength. Because if you just go and say, I want you to turn that light out so I can see the stars, most people are going to not care.
No. Yeah.
But you
meanwhile, we was talking on telephone. I told him that I will send right now some pictures I have been taken from my balcony. So you believe that I am an astronomer. I am an astrophotographer. And when he got those mail and those pictures, he told me at the same time, okay, I believe you. You are serious on this.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's wonderful.
So they will cover them already this season, because I told that they don't have to do this season, because they can do this for the autumn season. But because I told that there are some deep sky objects, it's galaxy season right now. And he told me he will contact them after this call, and the electrician and the guys who will put the insulation for the lamps immediately.
That's great. So Pekka, if you can ask him to be on our show with you, and we can talk about this and the importance of dark skies, I think that would be fantastic. So
it would be.
Ask him if he'll join us.
The landlord.
Yeah. Funny. It would be great.
I will ask it.
Because he can talk about going from not knowing anything to being aware and taking action where he could. That'd be great.
I told him that I have seen so much wildlife. I saw a fox just a week ago running around here, and I told him that that bulb light under my balcony. You have seen that, right one. I told him that the 50% of that light is lightening the this green stuff. Let's see what did. I have to
it's lighting the bushes. It's lighting the bushes in the ground. Right?
And there is living some wildlife like this hedgehog.
Hedgehog.
Yeah, they are living in bushes and hunting. Yeah, they are everywhere here. These balls with sticks.
And they need it to be dark. Yeah.
Yes, they are hunting some worms and so on. And they are crawling. You can hear them at the night time. They are crawling.
So, long-term solution though is to figure out a way to get those bad lights replaced with good lights, so there is light on the ground that's sufficient and for people walking, but doesn't cast it up into the sky. So it's So come up with a permanent solution.
Yeah, he started to talk about safety and how safe the other my neighbors feel them. I told him directly that I have spoken with everybody, and they are prepared to sign under a letter that they don't care. They are on my side,
Right.
and I told them, the neighbors, that you don't have to be afraid, because if you know that the lights are closed, if I close the lights, I will be there on the balcony
Yes.
the most of the time. So there will not be somebody crawling and looking through the window at the night time. No problem. I will be there, and I will see everything. I will hear everything.
And you'll call the police.
Yes, or tell them that go away. You don't belong here.
That's right.
And he agreed. He told me that he agreed totally. He can't change every lamp or cover every lamp on the area, but he will take care of the nearest of my balcony. I told him, I thank you.
That is awesome. Pekka,
Yes.
thanks for sharing that story. That's great.
Yeah,
Pekka's-
thank you to let me in
Yeah.
and share this
Anytime.
wonderful
Anytime.
time, because everybody have to know that you can achieve if you just want to.
It's
Right.
amazing. It's amazing what one phone call can do when you talk to the right person.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and the whole point, I mean, I talk about light pollution all the time. I view myself as like a Johnny Appleseed, which is a reference you may not get, but, you know, was an American, you know, guy back in the 1800s who went around planting apple trees, you know, and you know, he's a folklore hero kind of thing. And I'm a gardener. I plant seeds about light pollution as much as I can with as many people as I can talk to about it, because you never know when you're going to talk to that one person who can affect change, either with 4 lights in an apartment complex, which is great, or change the mind of a U.S. senator who will then introduce some federal legislation that maybe has some impact.
This can be beginning of the big change in this area, because people see that, okay, that's much more comfortable light they have on that street. Why don't we have that? And they will call them. But I have one advice to everybody that are making a important call. Write down the facts you want to take up, because when they are coming with their facts, you will forget your facts, and they will put you down. But you will
gotta be ready.
You have to be ready. Every argument they have against you, you must have ready a bigger argument against them. And I had that.
That's good. You did your homework.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Kent and Scott.
Thank you, Pekka. Jeff makes a point here. He says, what kind of lights don't create light pollution?
No light.
Lights. That's actually a very straightforward answer. Light pollution, sort of a tenet of lighting should be the right amount of light in the right location at the right time. Okay. So think through that. The right amount of light in the right location at the right time. You know, do billboards need to be fully lit up between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning when there's almost no traffic on the roads? No, you might be able to turn those billboard lights off or down to a minimum. You know, shining light up in the sky serves no purpose. Zero purpose, except in the United States, where you're required to have an American flag lit if you're going to shine it all night long. You know, that's not a law, but it's very, very customary. It may be in the federal code, but the point of it is, short of that, something like there's no reason to shine light up in the sky. And so if you have a standard light fixture and half of its light is going up into the sky, that means you're using twice the amount of energy you need to produce the light you want on the ground. So if you install what's called a full cutoff shield, then Scott, are you Googling that up? Can you
What's that?
Google up and get ready to share a full cutoff shield while I'm
Uh,
talking? So
Ken,
That's easy.
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, I have to because you told that about the American flag. You know, I have written down on my letter that if he says that we can't do that because it's a policy or something, that's undoable. And I have written there's two things you can't change, in my opinion. Turn the light down on sun and change the United States Constitution letter. That's two things you can't change. Everything else is changeable.
you know, it is. You're exactly right. So there are fixtures that have a full cutoff shield where no light goes past the horizontal. Hey, Scott, maybe next week I should do my light pollution talk that you've seen before that has some good illustrations of lights and stuff. So
Sure.
I've got a light pollution talk I give at a state park. We'll do that one next week. That'll give us.
I will send the light pollution filter for you so you can show what they can use.
All right. So
Right.
you know, the problem is light pollution in the past 10 years, really 15 years, has changed from incandescent light to LED lights. And LED lights can produce a very, very bright white light for very, very, very little money. And so people have this idea that, wow, that's brighter white, that's good. And it's cheaper, so we can have more of it. And so this right here, there you go. This shows it right there. The non cutoff fixture is just
That's my light I have.
is the standard street light, the one on the left. The semi cutoff does keep something from going straight overhead, but it still shines. What's that going to be? A quarter of its light up in the sky?
Yeah, that's
And then-
that's the one
ridiculous.
I have.
It's ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. And then
Yeah.
the cutoff is great because there's no light going past the horizontal, but the full cutoff is best because you can really control the amount of light going on the ground, and you can make it directional. I umpire youth baseball, and one of the parks here in Springdale over the winter changed their lights from the old style of just bright lights to full cutoff lights. And they're highly directional. There's no light goes up in the sky. I'm waiting for a foggy night to go take a picture of it to add it to my slides. The fields are very well lit. There's no light trespass. Light trespass being light going onto property you don't own. So if your neighbor has a big bright light in their backyard that shines into your yard, that's light trespass.
Sue them.
Yeah,
I contend.
shoot him.
Well, maybe ask them first. Ask them nice,
Yeah.
and then sue them. Okay,
But-
so
And I've told this story. If I play loud music and my neighbors
Neighbors
call
really-
the police,
Yeah, yes.
the police are going to show up and tell me to turn it down,
there
right?
you go. That's true.
But if they have a bright light that bothers me, just like my music bothered them, we flip it, the equation to they have bright light shining in my backyard. I call the police and say, make them quit it. They'll tell me I'm crazy because they're keeping the criminals away. Well, they're depriving me of my ability to enjoy my backyard the way I might want my backyard.
They will take you under the custody because you called the 911 properly
Yeah, for
for harassing.
yeah, or think I'm crazy. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I contend they're the same thing, but they're treated completely differently. So to answer the question though, those full cutoff shields are a great way, and it's taken us 150 years to get here. This is not a problem that's going to be solved in 150 days or 150 weeks. It may be solved in 100 years, but it's very simple. You quit using bad fixtures, and when you replace them, you simply install a good fixture. If you do that, it's going to take 20 or 30 or 40 years, but we'll get to the point where we have the night sky back, and where the birds have their night migration patterns back, and fireflies can reproduce, and the turtles don't crawl towards the beach. They crawl towards the ocean where they're supposed to. And we get our diurnal cycle back. We don't have this problem going to sleep because we have too much light in our lives in our dark rooms. Which are, there's all sorts of issues there.
Yeah, I was prepared to that he will tell me that if they will use a plate or sheet of steel, the wind will crap it off and it can hit some people. And I told him directly that no, we can use black plastic. Mm-hmm. So it won't hurt anybody if the wind will grab it. So I was really prepared for every step they can make a move against me. I was thinking for days, every step, what they can
say and what you can counteract
what they can turn it against me, that we can't do that because I had every single question they could against that.
So if everybody here listening today would pick just one light, just one, okay, and work on that, I'm sure that you could get a win. Shailendra Sharma says, speaking to your neighbors is the best option. My neighbors are great. I spoke to them about the hobby of my astrophotographs, and they turn off their lights. And when they do, the sky's clear, which is great. Chris Larson says to you, Ken, maybe make your slides from that presentation available to us. You've got some pretty motivated people in our group here.
Sure.
Harold Locke says, my neighbor trimmed his tall pine so I could view the north sky and Polaris from my observation station after we talked. See, I mean, it's just conversation. It's awesome. And Beatrice Hines says, I also spoke to my neighbors about it. They are so nice now to not let their lights shine nonstop, and also not in my garden.
Yeah. But, you hear about people, though, you hear about those worst case scenarios where you go talk to your neighbor, and I've seen pictures of this actually online somewhere, where instead of fixing his light, he put up more. He was the neighbor was one of those kind of people, like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna put up more. Now what you gonna do about it? And that scares people away, but that's one person. That's not the other 100 people. That's one bad apple, and you're letting him scare you away from having a conversation with people because
and destroy your hobby.
Fear.
And destroy your hobby.
And then destroy your hobby.
Yeah.
So, but you've got to be, if they say no, okay, you tried. But long term, yes, it's act local, think global, act local. But I believe long term, it is a national, global problem, and this is going to have to be attacked on national scale. This is going to have to be something that you don't do it electric company by electric company, and city by city, and town by town, and farm by farm. It's too big of a problem to try and attack that way.
Yeah.
But then
if you don't start there, though, how does it start?
I know. You got to start locally and build up consensus and get enough to where you finally can make a national, issue out of it.
I have kind of begin to be dedicated for fight for light pollution on a little bit larger level. And I will start on my balcony, and we'll try. You have to start somewhere. And by the way, I have to take some photos tonight before they put those, so we can compare on next star party.
So we need a before slide and an after slide.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So point my iPhone against the light as my telescope would do, so you can change. So you can see the change.
Very good.
So Pekka, it's midnight there. Are you observing tonight, or is it cloudy?
No, it will be. We will have a storm, snowstorm begins now
Yeah.
about 2 hours. We had a very dark sky, and then just in a couple of minutes, totally clear, but very thin cover over moon. So I didn't take my telescope out today. But tomorrow it will be snow for 3 days. Really bad weather. And I'm lucky that I didn't change the winter tires to summer tires yet.
Do you have studded tires in Sweden or just snow tires?
No, we have this with this iron.
Yeah, studs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, iron spikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are needed.
So
sometimes.
when does spring happen in Sweden in Stockholm?
Now.
Okay.
For 2 weeks ago. So we have some green leaves on the trees already and in position and so on.
Yeah.
But really for 2 weeks, we have already 15 degrees Celsius. And I burned my face because I'm a solar allergic. After my transplantation, it's a very big risk that you get that. So 5 minutes in the sun, you're burned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And will never be better. You can train that on the springtime that it's not burning and sticking so much. But you can't be outside on the sun because the risk for skin cancer is 100 times bigger than for normal person.
Oh goodness! Wow.
Yeah. So I have to be very careful. That's for I have this solar lotion that it's 50 times plus 50.
Yeah.
And this was $20. Small bottle. Yeah.
Expensive.
Yeah. This kind.
I see.
It's 30 milligrams or milliliters.
Wow.
49 grams.
Yeesh.
That's 1 week for me on summertime.
Jeff says even in Norway, in the areas with small towns, there is still light pollution from cut-off street lights. It might have to do with the snow.
It will.
The snow is multiplying the light pollution.
Because it's a giant reflector. Shines it straight back up in the sky.
It's a giant, Because when
every Scandinavian is allergic to the sun.
Yeah. We had a very fine, nice snow cover, and I love snow. But I saw directly the difference when the snow smelt.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was black.
Which just points out, the need of, it's the right amount of time or right amount of light in the right place at the right time. And, if you don't need it, like Tucson, Arizona, their streetlights either turn down or turn off at specific times. And it changes throughout the year. But, their streetlights are on full bore for the first couple hours of dark. And as the night progresses, they progressively get dimmer, and then they turn most of them off because it's now a smart network. Save money. And they're doing it to save money. Absolutely. And they're doing it to save the night sky because they've had a light pollution ordinance since 1972 to protect all the observatories that are nearby. The research university observatories. So, ordinances to regulate light pollution are nothing new. They've been around for literally decades now. But some people, I guess, see it as a right to be able, you're taking a right away from them when you say, oh, you can't use a light, you can't shine light up in the sky. Yeah. So,
well,
but what it needs, it's only one very committed person to start everything.
That's true.
I'm going to recommend you. I'm going to recommend you for the International Dark Sky Association, Pekka. I think
I have looked for that.
Their
already.
Ambassador. Yes.
Yes, but every time when there is a problem, there is a solution. Every single problem has different solutions, but you have to pick the right one.
Yes.
So Scott, why don't you post the International Dark Sky website,
Yeah.
darksky.org.
Yeah. There it is.
And
There you can get a lot of the information that Pekka's talking about as far as talking points, and probably some good advice on just how to approach your neighbors, how to approach your community, government officials, that kind of thing. So
because they have to understand why, what the light pollution causes, not just for the photographing, it causes so much more.
yes.
And you have to have every single answer to their question, and you have to tell them deeply and understandable what the light causes. Not just that I can take long exposures. That's not enough for them. You have to have deeper explanations.
Sure. That's right.
And that causes for me clear sky, for sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So one call.
It's a great win, Pekka.
Yeah, it is. That's why I wanted to tell the whole world that you can make change. One
Yes.
single person can make change if they want.
If they want.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if they are committed to make the change, not just take the arguments from the other side. That's okay. This is the policy. This is the, like, it has always
It
been.
doesn't have to be that way, right?
No, we are living
that
in
way.
2021, and
Yeah.
this is the case.
That's right.
So how do we make a compromise? I told him directly that I know that it will cost you some money, and I will meet you on the half side of the cost. And he was speechless.
Yeah.
He had nothing to tell.
Yeah, there's
about the
nothing,
cost.
nothing else to fight against, right?
No, he was totally speechless.
Wonderful.
So keep on fighting about the light pollution, everybody.
That's right.
Be polite to your neighbors and ask them to invite them to look about from your telescope and so on, and show the sky with their light and without their light. And they can see the comparison. For sure. I have invited everybody because they are going downstairs my balcony from and forth, and there is a playground, and children are looking because I was making a solar photo, and they was looking. What are you looking? I told them, I'm not looking, but I am photographing the sun. Oh, and I told them, everybody, that when COVID is gone, I will invite you in person, one in the time, to look and look how we make the photography session from beginning, from A to Z. When we take out the telescope, attach it, everything, and when we look at the computer and make the changes and so on, and take into photos and look, and I will make them happy. I know, especially the neighbors and kids around.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the audience. Thank you, Beatrice, for recommending that everybody like our videos to increase our popularity. Thank you very much. I think we have some great information to get out there. And until tomorrow, we will see you, and keep looking up. I did include a nice half-hour long feature video about ESA astronauts in space, which I think you might find very interesting. It comes on right after this next segment here. So thanks very much, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
ESA astronaut. 20 years ago, with 6 other crew members, I had the privilege to participate in one of the earliest assembly missions of the International Space Station. I was the first European to visit the ISS, and I felt a responsibility to represent not only my country but also the entire European continent. Our main task was to install Canadarm2, a space crane needed to complete the construction of the ISS. In addition, the Space Shuttle Endeavour was carrying supplies for the station's crew. We delivered consumable and scientific experiments thanks to the Raffaello Logistic Module, a jewel of European technology. I joined ESA in 1998 when the European Astronaut Corps was created, bringing together astronauts from individual member states. It was a forward-looking decision in line with the EU motto, United in Diversity. Indeed, European astronauts share the same goals and wear the same uniform, a blue flight suit, while retaining their country's flag. Working on board the ISS, I felt I was making a small contribution to building humanity's first outpost in space. The spirit of international collaboration was well represented by our diverse crew, made up of 4 Americans, a Canadian, a Russian, and myself, a European with an Italian flag. We should be proud of more than 2 decades of human presence in orbit, for the scientific and technological achievements, but above all because up there, a small group of men and women have proved what we could achieve by working together for the progress of humankind. It is the most important lesson of the ISS project, especially significant in this difficult time for the planet. Over the next 20 years, space will be the arena for competition and collaboration between national agencies and private companies. We will see a new era of human exploration beyond Earth's orbit, starting with the return of human crew to the moon after half a century. And the moon will be just the first step. Human spaceflight is not only important for its scientific and economic values, but also because it concerns the future of our civilization. Humanity has evolved thanks to its ability to explore the unknown, to go beyond the Pillars of Hercules. More than 500 years after Columbus' voyage, we do not remember the details of the discoveries, but we are aware of how that event changed the history of the world. Imagine what the colonization of Mars can represent for our future. Thank you for listening, child.
I am Claudine. I'm a medical doctor, rheumatologist, and a scientist in the field of neuroscience. I am a French ESA astronaut, and I've been selected in 85 like NASA, the French Space Agency. I had the unique privilege to fly twice on board station in orbit. In 96 on board the Mir station, and then in 2001 in the International Space Station, at the very initial construction phase. I participated in the expansion of scientific and operational cooperation between Russia, Europe, and the USA. It was as much a rich human adventure as a scientific one. I appreciated the unity of the crew in its diversity. Gender, culture, professions. It was a real team spirit that served the success of these complex missions. And it was obvious at every moment that everything has to be done to advance knowledge and technological know-how in this specific microgravity environment. I was fascinated by the view of the Earth through the window, such a beautiful planet carrying life, but such a fragile and vulnerable one. And it is this new view full of admiration, respect, and responsibility that all astronauts like to share and return. The ISS, with its multiple laboratories, including the European Columbus module, enables a very broad spectrum of experiment to be carried out at the cutting edge of research and technology. And I admire the progress that has been made during these 20 years of permanent use in life, and I'm so proud of the results. It has provided us with essential innovations for some of our terrestrial challenges, climate change and obviously health issues. and it allows us to look forward with confidence for the future phases of human exploration beyond low Earth orbit, then to the Moon very shortly, and then to the planet Mars. ISS, with its high level of research and this excellent international cooperation, is an essential and unique infrastructure to which Europe through ESA is proud to contribute for the benefit of all humanity. And the journey continues towards unexplored territories of knowledge and life. It will be challenging, but inspiring and thrilling, and for that we need all the talent, men and women. And I'm pleased that the European intelligence is working ambitiously on it.
Welcome to the European Astronaut Center here in Cologne, the home base where more than 20 years now we are training astronauts for the International Space Station. So congratulations to all the partners that have made this wonderful project possible. For more than 20 years now, we have humans living and working in space. And I was one of the lucky ones. I have been there twice. On my second mission, I was there for 6 months, and we are here in a mock-up of the Columbus module, where I have spent 6 months doing science and working and living in space. Of course, we did not only work, we also had memorable moments. For example, when we celebrated Halloween on orbit and when we tried to dress up and try to find things that we could do just to surprise each other. These are also memorable moments, of course, but the most important thing is that for 20 years now, we have been delivering science, technology for the benefit of humankind. So again, the International Space Station, congratulations.
Congratulations to everyone in ESA that is involved in the human space flight. 20 years already since ESA became a partner, a full and recognized partner of the International Space Station. What memories! I worked for several years in the last stages of design and development of this Columbus module, and I was extremely happy to see it finally go up to space. And some of my colleagues there, Leopold and Hans, putting it together with the other partners. When I went to the International Space Station, it was a little bit earlier than that, and I really had an overwhelming feeling of awe for the technology that we were using there. I still remember the first time we opened the hatch, the clean air, the sense of being in a building instead of just being in a tiny spacecraft. The ISS then, and much more now, gives us the feeling of something permanent, that this is something in which we are actually building a permanent science laboratory in space, and being there is really overwhelming from the point of view of the enormous space that we have, the level of technology that we're using, the technology and displayed also in the science experiments. It was really the highlight of my life and probably of anyone's life that actually gets there. I hope that in the next 20 years, ESA will keep growing in partnership with other nations in human spaceflight, that will become more and more important in the conquering of space. And hopefully in 20 years we will see European astronauts as well as probably other partners walking on the moon, studying the moon, having a permanent presence probably in or around the moon, and who knows, maybe already putting together the spacecraft that will go to Mars, hopefully also with European Space Agency astronauts in there. For that, we are choosing a new generation, so I'm hoping that everybody in Europe that has a drive to work in space, that has a drive to be in the forefront of technology and wants to be operational about it and do something about it and be really in the middle of it, applies to our selection for European astronauts. So congratulations to everybody and for the next 20 years.
Hello, I'm Andre Gargos, astronaut of the European Space Agency, and I went to the International Space Station twice, in 2004 and in 2012. When I birthed the first Dragon to the International Space Station, I realized I was doing something special. There I was, a Dutch astronaut from the European Space Agency, working with the Canadian robotic arm, docking an American commercial spacecraft to an international space station. Beautiful example how all these technologies and countries came together. Also, when I docked the European ADV to the Russian side, working together with my Russian colleague. That is the most important thing for me for the International Space Station. It's built by all kinds of countries that were fighting each other not so long ago in hot and cold wars, and now building on the biggest technological project there is. A beautiful example how you can cooperate. For me, the International Space Station is a beautiful candidate for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, it's hard to believe that it's already 20 years ago since our dear colleague Umberto Guidoni was floating through the hatch of the shuttle and entered the International Space Station as the first European. So much has happened since then, so much successes, but also lots of challenges. If I counted correctly, 17 European astronauts have flown to the ISS since then. Myself, I was number 8 in row, the first European long-term flight in 2006. The station was much smaller then, and today it's such a huge structure in low Earth orbit, which gives a permanent home to 7 astronauts. I'm so proud on our achievements in Europe and together with our international partners. Columbus is serving as an excellent research platform and going through a midlife update. 5 ATVs have supplied the station with more than 30 metric tons of goods. We had 3 European ISS commanders. Very close to the same day in 2001, our dear colleague Thomas Pesquet will start his mission Alpha and become the 4th European ISS commander. And still, the station is growing. We are expecting the launch of the Russian module MLM, which will bring the European robotic arm to ISS. How long have we been waiting for this moment? And the success story continues with the launch of Matthias Maurer in fall this year and Samantha Cristoforetti in spring next year, and of course, many more European astronauts to come. ESA's role in the ISS program proves our capabilities and our reliability, not only in human exploration, but in spaceflight in general. We have been using ISS also to advance our technological capabilities, to assume and expand our role in exploration. The picture behind me hints a little bit in this direction. Of course, I hope, as most likely all of you, that ISS will remain not only till the end of this decade, but hopefully till the beginning of the next decade, so we can celebrate the 30th anniversary of European astronauts working on board ISS and advancing our knowledge for the benefit of humankind. Now I wish all my colleagues who are about to leave this planet for their missions all the best, success during their stay on board, and a safe return to Earth. Happy anniversary.
Hi, my name is Christer Fuglesang. I was an ESA astronaut and I'm a professor now at the KTH Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. And I'm here to say a few words about the fantastic International Space Station, who's now almost 20 years been continuously crewed. I was actually part of the very first crew when they launched and went to the International Space Station in the year 2000. I was a support astronaut at the Moscow Mission Control Center, ZUP, and I followed the Soyuz flight from launch to the docking to International Space Station, 1st November, year 2000, very closely. Some years later, in December 2006, I got the wonderful opportunity to visit the International Space Station myself. And I took part in the assembly of the International Space Station, and then again in the 2009, two missions SS-116 and 128. And it was absolutely fabulous to be part of doing this, to be part of building this most fabulous construction humans has built. I was happy and lucky to be able to do a few spacewalks and seeing the Earth floating below. In this case, was 360 kilometers below, while outside of the space station was an absolutely unforgettable experience. We're building this International Space Station to learn how to build and live in space, but also to learn what we need to know to go further in space. And I'm sure ISS will be used many more years as well. And right now I want to congratulate everybody who has been involved in this fabulous endeavor to build and construct and live on the International Space Station. 20 years, that's a long time. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm Hans Schlegel, a European astronaut and German citizen. This year, we at ESA celebrate the 20th anniversary of our human presence on board the International Space Station. On Shuttle Atlantis, my ISS-22 crew and I took the European Science Module Columbus into space. We felt privileged and honored to install Columbus onto the International Space Station, a place to go for experiments and instruments of European scientists and engineers, long-term research and tests in micro-G for many years to come. My ESA colleague and French friend Leopold Eratz shared the excitement of our launch and travel to the ISS. Once at the ISS, we were a crew of 7 US astronauts, 2 ESA astronauts, and 1 Russian cosmonaut. Our international crew worked intensely and lived closely together for almost 13 days in space. We performed 3 spacewalks to install Columbus and exchanged several essential parts of ISS. I feel that our crew was, and the entire ISS program with ESA is, a role model for international cooperation. This cooperation is needed for complex and challenging endeavors of mankind to realize the impossible. When I was out to do my spacewalk, it was the personal highlight of my astronaut career. The challenge to control my own little spacecraft as the everlasting task in the background. The assigned tasks which had to be completed, regardless of the unexpected. The little to no room for deviation from the optimal, safest way to proceed. The surprise and joy when we flew over Europe with the clearest sight I ever experienced on board or on ground. The unexpected flight paths leading us right over my home area Aachen and Cologne, and our mindful pilot decks who instructed me to take a minute to look to the ground when we approached Germany. This sight and my feelings were overwhelming. I needed to call me to order and concentrate on my work. My personal hope for the future of human spaceflight is that we continue to further develop our international cooperation. By doing so, we will be able to realize sustainable research and exploration in our entire solar system for the benefit of all.
20 years of International Space Station. One of the privileges that we have while living on orbit is to make the ordinary extraordinary. Even a dinner becomes a chance to go beyond any limitations and any heritage. I remember one dinner where we had my crewmate Jessica Meir of Jewish heritage, enjoying Russian and Italian food together with Russian colleagues, Americans, and Azama Usuri, who is the first United Arab Emirates astronaut. There are no limitations to what we can do when we want to do extraordinary things. Maybe the challenge for the next 20 years is let's do extraordinary things also on the ground.
Hey, I'm
ESA astronaut Alexander Gerst, and what you see behind me here are the training mock-ups for the International Space Station at the European Astronaut Center in Cologne. And believe me, I spent a lot of time in these mock-ups. And actually, I've spent even more time on the real International Space Station, about 1 year. What might seem long to you is actually only 1/20th of the inhabited lifetime of ISS. That means if you're 40 years old or younger, more than half of your life a human has lived on the ISS at any time. That's an amazing achievement. So if I could think of one property of this fantastic machine that I could pick out, then I would say the ISS is the most improbable machine that humanity has ever built. We all know there's a lot of science going on, and it's very important for us down here on Earth to get those science data, but we rarely look at what an achievement it was to actually build that machine. The modules, such as the ones that you see behind me, were actually built on 4 different continents and were launched individually on rockets into orbit at 28,000 kilometers an hour, where they have been put together. And they had to fit with a precision more than a hundredth of a millimeter together, but they've never been tested on Earth if they fit together. That's how sure engineers were that this machine would work. That's what an achievement it was, to put this machine together in space, working together across the globe. So you see from this fantastic achievement that international cooperation is the key. If you try to do things alone, you can only get so far. If you work together with other countries, you can achieve things that one nation could never achieve alone. Plus, it forces you to work together in peace. So that's an achievement alone that I think is already worth the celebration of today. Happy birthday, ISS.
Probably my most vivid memory of space station is when I saw it for the very first time. We were approaching station, going in towards docking in our Soyuz, our spacecraft, and I had not seen it with my eyes yet. It's on the camera, on the periscope, but I wanted to see it with my own eyes. The space station that I had trained for so long had been in the center of my thoughts for years, and I wanted to see it. And so I had been told that when you get to about 40 meters out, if you look out of the side window, you're gonna catch a glimpse of it. And so I did, and it was overwhelming. Um, I basically caught a glimpse of these solar arrays, and I knew in my mind how big they are, but it's different when you see those gigantic arrays out there, and they're so beautiful. And it was a very special moment, that those few seconds when the sun is very low on the horizon, it's about to set, and it basically flooded space station with this orange glow, and the solar rays, they looked ablaze. It was just amazing. And the next very vivid memory, of course, is opening the hatch and floating through, hugging our buddies. That almost unreal experience of flying to space and meeting other human beings who are there to hug you, who actually prepared a warm meal for you, who are going to take care of you in a way in this first few weeks in which you are learning as a new flyer. Yes, there's the enjoyment and the excitement. You're floating, you have superpowers, you can live in 3 dimensions, everything is effortless. But at the same time, you have to get used to controlling your body in weightlessness, controlling all the things that have that tendency of wanting to float away from you. And so your buddies help you out a lot. And then, of course, a very vivid memory is that first view from the cupola, this special module, which is very small, but it's made out of windows, and so you have this amazing view from horizon to horizon of the Earth. And the first thing that I saw through the cupola was this glorious, glorious sunrise from up there, from space. And you really get spoiled, that view from the cupola is something that it's amazing. You I don't know, you get up every day, before you go to sleep, or just to the toilet, which is right next to it, you get that habit of just taking a peek outside and see where are we and what's out there. And there's always something amazing to see. This ever-changing beauty of the planet. With different seasons and different weather patterns, and the mountains, the oceans, the deserts, the forests, um, and that also that feeling of familiarity that you develop over time. This. You look outside and you kind of know what's coming next. What's the next thing, the next city, the next continent, the next island that's going to appear at the horizon, and you kind of wait for it like an old friend. And in a way, you feel that distant presence of all the humans down there that you are overflying. As I look forward to flying back to space station, I think what I feel the most is a longing, a desire to go back to a place where I was very happy, feel again that feeling of camaraderie, of hard work, but meaningful hard work, where you know that every little thing that you do, maybe it's just a 15-minute activity to get an experiment started, but you know that those 15 minutes are really, really important for someone down there on the ground who probably worked on this experiment for years, and you're helping to get that done, to make it happen. So I very, very much look forward to going back to ISS. It's very different this time. It's a place that I know very well. It's been my home already for half a year, just a few years ago, and it's just this desire, this longing of going back to a place that I have loved, to live again that experience. It's going to be different in many ways, for sure. Different vehicle flying there, different people, but I think it will be the same type of camaraderie, that same type of satisfaction also of very, very dense, full days when you get a lot of things done. You in a week you might do, I don't know, a dozen of experiments that actually represent an accomplishment for teams on the ground who might have worked on that for years, and there you are, just putting the cherry on the cake, um, delivering the data that they have worked towards for so long.
So hey, as you know, this year we celebrate 20 years of continuous human presence on the ISS, which is an unbelievable achievement. I was lucky enough to be part of the last 10 years of that story, that ongoing story. And to me, what's so special about the ISS is its truly international nature, the international nature of that program. We got people from all over the globe working with the same ideals of space exploration, research, peaceful cooperation, and that makes it, to me, truly unique and special. So congratulations of all the ISS partners on 20 years of success on board the ISS, and here's to an even better future of exploring farther together.
November 2nd is a special day, not just because it's my birthday, but also because this year it's the 20th anniversary of the first crew to move on board the International Space Station. 20 years later, the International Space
in Cologne, being put to
Body in weightlessness, controlling all the things that have that tendency of wanting to float away from you, and so your bodies help you out a lot. And then, of course, a very vivid memory is that first view from the cupola, this special module, which is very small, but it's made out of windows, and so you have this amazing view from horizon to horizon of the Earth. And the first thing that I saw through the cupola was this glorious, glorious sunrise from up there, from space. And you really get spoiled, that view from the cupola is something that it's amazing. You I don't know, you get up every day, or before you go to sleep, or just when you go to the toilet, which is right next to it, you get that habit of just taking a peek outside and see where are we and what's out there. And there's always something amazing to see. This ever-changing beauty of the planet. With different seasons and different weather patterns, and the mountains, the oceans, deserts, the forests, um, and that also that feeling of familiarity that you develop over time. You look outside and you kind of know what's coming next. What's the next thing, the next city, the next continent, the next island that's going to appear at the horizon, and you kind of wait for it like an old friend. And in a way, you feel that distant presence of all the humans down there that you are overflying. As I look forward to flying back to space station, I think what I feel the most is a longing, a desire to go back to a place where I was very happy, feel again that feeling of camaraderie, of hard work, but meaningful hard work, where you know that every little thing that you do, maybe it's just a 15-minute activity to get an experiment started, but you know that those 15 minutes are really, really important for someone down there on the ground who probably worked on this experiment for years, and you're helping to get that done, to make it happen. And so I very, very much look forward to going back to ISS. It's very different in the sun. It's a place that I know very well. It's been my home already for half a year, just a few years ago, and it's just this desire, this longing of going back to a place that I have loved, to live again that experience. It's going to be different in many ways, for sure. Different vehicle flying there, different people, but I think it will be the same type of camaraderie, that same type of satisfaction also of very, very dense, full days when you get a lot of things done. In a week you might do, I don't know, a dozen of experiments that actually um, represent an accomplishment for teams on the ground who might have worked on that for years, and there you are, just putting the cherry on the cake, um, delivering the data that they have worked towards for so long.
So hey, as you know, this year we celebrate 20 years of continuous human presence on the ISS, which is an unbelievable achievement. I was lucky enough to be part of the last 10 years of that story, that ongoing story. And to me, what's so special about the ISS is its truly international nature, the international nature of that program. We got people from all over the globe working with the same ideals of space exploration, research, peaceful cooperation, and that makes it, to me, truly unique and special. So congratulations of all the ISS partners on 20 years of success on board the ISS, and here's to an even better future of exploring farther together.
November 2nd is a special day, not just because it's my birthday, but also because this year it's the 20th anniversary of the first crew to move on board the International Space Station. 20 years later, the International Space
Here's the Explore sign. The Gaiaxos 100 equatorial tracker mount. We've got it mounted up here with a digital SLR that's got the dovetail plate here. We also have it kind of mounted on our extra heavy duty tripod. This whole thing is operated remotely. You can see Kent's operating it with his Apple tablet here, but it'll run off a Windows tablet or an Android tablet. What do you like about this whole system, Kent?
I find it very intuitive. It's very quiet. Like any go-to system, there are things to learn.
Sure.
But once you learn those things, it makes it really easy to find stuff in the sky.
Sure.
Now, this is running our Explore Stars app. If you're going to do astrophotography, you need to be running it with a planetarium program hardwired to a computer.
That's right. So this runs wireless, wired, okay? It's super versatile. It not only has go-to capabilities, but you can also add a guide scope with an auto guider CCD type of camera onto it. So, and you know, the thing that you're going to really love about this is the price of this instrument, which will fit neatly into your budget, I'm sure. So, check it out. Look online. Check out the specs. Give us a call if you have any questions.